Hello, I'm your host, Giselle Gamby, and this is the Intuitive Pull Podcast, where together we'll embrace the plans we did not make, yet unfold businesses and lives that are so much greater in wealth in all ways than any business or life plan could ever achieve. My wish is that you make intuition your most trusted advisor. So buckle up, get present, and let's go. Hello once again, and welcome to our new listeners. I've had this episode in mind for a little while now. It's actually based on a video I made in 2020 and posted on Facebook called Meditation for Business Performance. The reason why I created that video was because my old football coach messaged me one day and said, "Hey, do you know anybody who could help me with meditation for business performance?" And I said, yes, I think that would be me. And it just inspired me to get out what I know. At that time, it was on video, to support people to see the extraordinary and infinite value that meditation has on business performance. I wrote a post. Excuse me, I'm struggling at the moment with my voice, so just bear with me. Just really wanted to get this episode, created today, because on Monday it's my birthday, and I will be treating myself to some reflexology with Misha Frankel, and also spending some time with Mum. And so today's the day to pump out some episodes. So just bear with me with my funny voice. So I wrote this post. I'm just going to read it because there's no point in regurgitating in a different way. It was a written post and a video that had a lot of engagement. And in that engagement, people graciously wrote to me and said that they had listened to the video or watched the video several times and how much they appreciated the content of it. So I thought, well, why not turn it into a podcast? The sound is not fantastic, but you'll absolutely get the gist of it. So this is what I wrote. A friend recently asked me about meditation for business performance, and it inspired me to write this post and record this video with a particular person in mind. That person would define themselves as an achiever whose success has come as a result of setting and driving goals, using rationally derived strategies, proven success formulas, and action-oriented implementation. I am also an achiever. And when I attempted to source my success from the places you source yours, I failed dismally. And so ironically, the greatest source of my success has come from the practice of meditation. Unlike the experience I had when I didn't surrender into meditation, this version of success has not been driven by hard work, effort, or force, or anything that has felt inauthentic that previously caused me so much stress and anxiety in my body and life. Because I use the practice of meditation as a vehicle to remember and to experience all of who I am, that is my infinite nature, as I do with my clients and their infinite nature, this version of success is exciting, oftentimes audacious in the most generous of ways, visionary, innovative, goosebump, connective, and financially abundant. Very different to the dread I'd feel following rationally based strategies given to me by experts who I paid a lot of money to. I coined the premise that authenticity is profitable in 2013 because of the inspiration I received in meditation that I immediately followed through with. And as a result, that evening, the two most perfect clients and 20,000 revenue was created with ease and joy from 2 instant messenger communications, just from that. This was in 2013. And up until then, I never had so effortlessly experienced such a depth of connection, an immediate call to action, and the infinite results that followed as I did that evening. That day, November 2013, changed everything. And since then, I have lent into meditation as my greatest resource, as I invite my clients to do for themselves. And so this very post that I wrote in 2020, in September the 14th, 2020, was created from inspiration received from meditation following my friend's request to know more. I have meditated almost every day for the past 21 years. I hope you enjoy the sharing of the audio of the video that I created on the 14th of September. Enjoy. Hi. So I just created that post inspired by a friend of mine who said he was interested in using meditation for business performance. And I want to record this video to give you a bit more of the background as to why that is so. How can meditation enhance business performance? So the first thing I want to say is that I want to bust a myth around meditation, that meditation is simply a state of blissing out and being peaceful. Now, meditation is certainly a state of blissing out and being peaceful, and it is also a lot more things. So in the context of using meditation for business performance, I want to say that it is not at all a passive action. It is an active commitment into a state of presence that's very acute. It's an active commitment into a state of awareness that is very acute. Now, there are two active states that I want to speak to about in the context of meditation for business performance. And they are the acts of awareness and the acts of surrender. Awareness and surrender. Now, what I'm going to be sharing with you, you will have trouble trying to understand this with the mind and trying to rationalize this and trying to get it from a logical point of view. What I would suggest is this, something that a wonderful, wonderful coach that I had in 2002 to 2004 said to me when she presented this first premise that I'm about to speak to. She said, don't try and understand it, just choose to have an experience of it, play and experiment. And once you've had an experience of it, then you will be able to understand it. So let's talk about awareness. So there are a few things that meditation for business performance is founded on in relation to this mechanics of awareness. And the first is the awareness that you create the whole of your reality. So in life, when we don't know that to be true, it is very easy to play the role of victim when things don't go our way. It's very easy to play the role of victim even in the current state with COVID-19. When you play with the premise that you create the whole of your reality, you will see through the active state of awareness in meditation, you will see that it's not what you are doing that is creating your results, great results or lack of results. It's who you are being in the process. It's who you are being behind your doing. It's the energy that you are being behind your action that is creating your results or lack of. So meditation will allow you to become aware of whether the action is being driven by an energy of fear or love. It will allow you to see whether the way you are showing up is being driven by a need for control, safety, power, based on the beliefs that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy, or that you're powerless. It will also allow you to see whether, let me say it differently, it will also allow you to see the quality of your action, whether it's being driven by the highest desire, the most genuine desire, the most wholehearted desire to be of service to your clients or customers, or whether it's being driven by desire to be solely in service to yourself, or maybe a balance of power in service to yourself versus your customer and client. So meditation allows you to become aware of you as the creator of your reality and seeing who you are being behind the scenes, behind your doing. That is the fundamental ingredient to creating and to experiencing the reality that you are living. So that's number one in terms of state of awareness. Actually, I was talking about this with Joel last week. He's started an online business, 14-year-old Joel. And I was talking to him about setting intentions for his month, about what revenue he wants to create every month. And I was explaining to him that it's not only what he's doing, but the energy and the belief systems behind what he's doing that creates his reality. So that was a really cool conversation to have with my 14-year-old. So meditation also allows you to enter a state of awareness, even if it's at an experimental stage that you don't really know this to be true, that you're more than your body, that you're more than the role that you play, that you're more than Giselle, David, Joel, whoever. You're more than your name. You're more than the definitions that you've given yourself. That who you really are, again, you may need to play with this, is that you are infinite consciousness, that you are beyond this physical form, that you're beyond your title or role, that you are infinite consciousness. And so if you are in infinite consciousness, you have the ability to connect with information, with people beyond this time right now and beyond this physical space that we are in. So this is the place where synchronicities happen. You know, this is the place where a sequence of events happens such that either it's a magical outcome, one that you really want, or it's an outcome that you dread or that you don't want. When you play with the idea that who you are is infinite consciousness and that you are connected to information and to people beyond this physical time and space, you are able to intuitively know and connect in with the most perfect information for your business. How I use that knowing that I'm connected beyond this physical time and space is that I make an intention that I am going to experience that. And I literally have people come into my awareness, people's names come into my awareness in meditation. And when I receive those people in meditation, I actively choose to receive information about them. So I call them downloads. So I will sit at my computer and close my eyes and I can touch type and I will literally hear information about that person and I will type it out, transcribe it out as I receive it. And then I will contact that person and let them know that I've received a download about them. And I haven't yet so far ever received and offered a download that has been inaccurate. So that's an incredible application around meditation for business performance. So, you know, in having said that, being connected beyond time and space, you can see into the future and you can see into the past. And that quality of information is of extreme value to the person that you are offering that to. Also, an active state of awareness is that you know that there are many, or that you play with, if you don't know, that there are many fields of consciousness, many different vibrations from low to high of consciousness, poverty consciousness, abundance consciousness. You may even call that mindset. There are many different fields of consciousness, and you get to play on a scale of consciousness that assumes that we're finite, limited, that who we are is just this physical form, right up to playing with the field of consciousness that says I'm beyond this form, this physical form, that who I am is infinite and eternal, and who you are is infinite and eternal, and that my consciousness, being infinite and eternal, can connect in with people and information beyond this physical
form. Meditation is an incredible application to connect in with a field of consciousness that is infinite and eternal and really profitable. So there's some of the states of awareness, acute presence, that meditation allows you to play in and from. The other mechanics behind meditation for business performance is the mechanics of surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. It's a word that I think if I recorded every conversation that I had, it probably would be the most used word in the dictionary or thesaurus of the life of Giselle. Surrender, surrender, surrender. So there's a recent premise that arrived in meditation when I was appreciating the power of surrender, because I was preparing myself for a retreat that I had a couple of weeks ago. And this premise arrived, and the premise is the point of inevitability is that moment of surrender. The point of inevitability of an outcome is that moment of surrender. I have hundreds and hundreds of examples, both in my life and the life of my clients, where you can, or I can, point out that moment that result was inevitable based on their decision to surrender either who they have been, surrender up a definition that has been too small for who they really are, and surrender into the fullness of who they really are and the bold and audacious action that comes from remembering their infinite capacity. So let's talk about surrendering up. Let's talk about the paradigm that you're invited into, where you get to surrender up certain ideas that you have had. So one of the ideas that we surrender up when we use meditation for business performance is that everything happens on the physical plane. That 1 + 1 will only ever equal 2. That what I do here will create that over there. That is nonsense when we use meditation for business performance. A specific example that I want to give you about surrendering up the idea that everything happens on the physical plane is a realization that I happen in meditation, of course, that I am a coach that's here for everyone. That's how I was operating from 2004 to 2013. I believed that I was here for everybody. And then I realized in 2013 that is a lie. That's false information. It's dishonest. And the truth is that I'm here for particular people. I'm here to partner with people who, from the non-physical plane, that we have a knowing, a connection that I call as a sacred contract or a soul contract. That our partnership was destined to do things and to have both of us experience our infinite nature in reality. So that's one of the first things that we surrender up. We surrender up the idea that everything happens on the physical plane, and we surrender up the idea, or surrender into the idea, that our union has been destined, and there's this physical, visceral experience that we can feel. We feel called. Another piece to surrender up, and this was massive for me. Surrendering up the idea that there's a sequential order in how we are of service to our clients and customers. The conventional way of thinking how we are of service to our clients is to think that, we offer a low risk, a low commitment, a low time and money offering. And then once we've proven our worth, then we have permission to offer the next level, and so on and so on and so on. So when you use meditation for business performance, that paradigm does not exist. What exists instead is that acute presence to whether you have a sacred contract or a soul contract with that person. And if you don't, you let them go. I've done that many times and spoken it as clearly as that, with kindness. And if you do, feeling into what is the most powerful offering that is of the highest service to them right now. What calls them forward right now, and going with that unequivocally, unashamedly, with no permission needed, with no proving first needed. So we surrender up that there's a sequential order in how we are of service to clients. We surrender that up and we go for the highest service for that person. That might mean that a smaller offering is the highest service to them, or it might be in the full shebang is what their soul is calling them into. We surrender up. This is a bit obvious now, I imagine, considering what I've just been speaking about. We surrender up to the idea that things need to make rational sense. That things need to make sense to the rational mind. If you are using meditation for business performance and you need that rationale, you need it to make sense to you, it will not work. Using meditation for business performance is an act of complete surrender. As I've heard, and you may have heard this expression so many times before, you can't be a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or not. You either receive that information, you follow through with it, or you don't. Let go of it needing to make rational sense. What will happen is once you've had the experience, then you'll be able to make rational sense afterwards, in hindsight or in retrospect. You're going to have to surrender up definitions that are too small for yourself. You're going to have to get real with who you have been turning up as, if it has been an inaccurate representation of who you really are in your power. So you're going to have to get real and surrender up with definitions that you have given yourself that are way too small. And you're going to need to give up any need for control, safety, and being concerned about what people think of you, good or bad. I remember when I was about to facilitate a retreat in Kenya, I think this was 2017, and I was having lunch. So we just arrived that morning and I was having lunch, and I'll give you the short version. I noticed that I had all this anxiety in my body, and I was thinking, why am I feeling anxious? Meditation allows you to interpret what emotions you are feeling within your body, rather than going to the, typical definition or meaning that you would give that. For example, the typical meaning that you would give anxiety is that you're scared. I was not scared. I was excited, but the anxiety was here to point me in, or to give me direction as to how I was going to lead this retreat. Now, you wouldn't believe it, but when I went into meditation and I felt into this anxiety and what it was here to tell me, it told me to let go of control. It told me, which was the most ironic piece of information that I'd ever heard when I was about to facilitate a retreat. It told me, if there is nothing to say nothing at all. And I was saying, but hello, I'm the facilitator of this retreat. I'm supposed to say things. And it kept on saying, if there is nothing to say nothing at all. Completely not rational. And I surrendered. I surrendered into letting go of control, into knowing ahead of time what I was going to say. And it was, at that time, the most powerful retreat that I'd ever experienced. What it allowed me to do was it allowed me to put the power in the people that were there rather than within myself. And so instead of building up, which is what normally how a retreat works, we started from the top, right up front, where people were already called into their power from the get-go. So you're going to have to surrender up any need for control, safety, and concern about what people think of you, good or bad. Now, surrendering into a personal freedom and joy that's independent of circumstances. Now, this is particularly relevant in the time of COVID, when there's so many assumptions that are being made about what COVID means for our businesses. And as you would have read in the post, is not loss and suffering have certainly not been the experience of myself or my clients because of the circumstance of COVID. So you're going to have to choose, you have to surrender into a personal freedom and joy independent of any circumstances. And you're going to have to surrender into a more powerful you than you have experienced, particularly when their circumstances are telling you otherwise. You're going to have to surrender into experiencing that your greatest leadership is not based on what you do. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't go and act, because we certainly do. But you're going to have to surrender into experiencing that your greatest leadership is not based on what you do, but on who you're being. Knowing that you're this energetic body. We are constantly sending out energetic vibrations, as I told Joel. And those energetic vibrations are like the one drop that creates the ripples of impact, influence, and service. So if I am choosing to deliver a new program, and yet behind the scenes, I feel like I'm not substantial, that I'm unworthy, that I won't be heard, and that has the power. It doesn't matter what I do. That energy is going to create the ripples of non-performance of what it is that I don't want. So meditation allows you to have acute awareness around the idea that your greatest leadership is not based on what you do, but on who you're being. And it's who you're being that is the one drop that creates those ripples. And the thing is, with meditation for business performance, it's ironic, because when you surrender into the practice, active practice of meditation, and it's fueled by a genuine desire to be of greater service to all in your ecosystem, including you, it's not only your business that will be impacted, and it's not only your business, it's not only the goals in which you have decided that you would use this meditation for. Meditation will create results way, 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 way beyond what you had anticipated, and way, 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 way beyond the realm in which you were targeting that meditation for. And that's the greatest joy that I receive as a coach, is to see when someone comes into coaching, they say, I want to experience X, Y, and Z. And what really happens is G, J, L, O, and everything else, as well as what they wanted. Actually, not always. Sometimes what they wanted, and sometimes greater than what they wanted, and it negates what they thought that they wanted. What I'm trying to say is that meditation impacts you 1,000% on a practical level, and it impacts you on a level that you could not anticipate, that creates infinite ripples of all the best things that you could ever wish for. So my favorite expression is, I have a love for the practical and a hunger for the infinite. And that's what meditation graces your life with. And finally, surrendering into, you are going to be gifted with information beyond time and space that you could never receive with a rational mind. Because of that, because you will never be able to rationalize it from the beginning, or it will be difficult to rationalize from the beginning, it's going to require you to be bold and audacious. It's going to require you to not care what other people think of you. And it's going to require you to also be unattached as to what happens or doesn't happen. So in saying that, it's going to require you to be bold and audacious. And in fact, what I named this year, 2020, the year of audacious joy, of audacious intuition, and of audacious impact, because that's where I left off 2019, with some really bold information that, to my rational mind, I felt like I didn't have the right to act upon it, and I did, and incredible things have happened for all as a result. In summary, meditation allows us to orientate from the whole of ourselves, not just from this physical form. And it allows us to remember that we are infinite consciousness. And as a result, meditation is a structure that makes inevitable results that we didn't know could be delivered. Another favorite saying that I received this year in meditation, that meditation is a structure that makes inevitable results that we didn't know could be delivered. Now, I just want to make some caveats around this. Meditation for business performance will only work if your intention is loving. If your intention is to manipulate, to be dishonest, if your intention is to be self-serving only, meditation for business performance will not work. Meditation for business performance will only work if your intention has integrity, is good-hearted, and has a desire to be of the highest service for everyone. If that is in place and you surrender into and surrender up all that I've said, and you use meditation in the context of it not being a passive action but an active action of acute awareness, you are going to have a lot of fun, and you are going to experience the miracle. Oh, it's going to make me cry in all the good ways. It's going to make you, it's very big energy here. It's going to have you experience the miracle that you are, and the miracle that we all are. And holding business in that context is, in my experience, the greatest service that you can lead with. Have fun.
Thanks for listening to that recording from September 2020. It was actually really interesting for me to hear that recording a couple of years onwards, having started the podcast on the 29th of November 2021, and just listening to the difference in my freedom of expression that I have now, thanks to the podcast, versus that video that I recorded. It was really interesting to watch the difference, or to hear the difference in the recording of that video in September 2020 to a couple of years onwards, where I don't know if you could hear it, the difference in your ear, but I could certainly hear the difference in my ear, just the freedom that I seem to have and the joy of expression that I seem to have now thanks to the podcast. The reason why I decided to record this little addendum is not for me, because I've got the awareness. I don't need to record this to own the awareness and the appreciation that I've got a lot freer in my self-expression, but to demonstrate to you that when we follow the intuitive pull, even though we might have ideas that we don't actually belong here, and I certainly had that idea that I did not belong here in verbal expression, that it's actually where we've always belonged. And so I just wanted to throw that one in, that little gift, that if there is an intuitive pull, it might feel like the cave you fear to enter. And yet what you will find in hindsight is that it's a place that you always belong to. Have an amazing time integrating meditation for business performance. I hope it changes your life as it has with me. And as always, please give me any feedback. Lots of different ways to connect with me. They are in the show notes. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.